Why are they smearing Dr. Cornel West? Dr. Cornel West meets all the criteria to run, but they got a problem with him running. They're trying different tactics. Let's debunk those tactics.
Multiple sources in leadership roles at several new progressive establishment groups told CNN they were surprised by West's candidacy, and their silence has been intentional.
Anonymous groups. They don't want to name the groups. That's when you know it's a hit piece. They told CNN they were surprised.
Even media outlets and leftist commentators who have held him in high regard for decades are urging West to reconsider, and in some notable cases, run as a Democrat in a primary challenge to Biden. Multiple top former Sanders aides told CNN they oppose the Green Party run and don't understand what he is trying to accomplish through it.
Maybe it's because Dr. Cornel West knows running in the Democratic Party is a bad idea for a lot of other reasons, such as you guys aren't even going to have debates with your fellow Democrats. So what good would it be for Dr. Cornel West to run in a campaign with a party he disagrees with, who he's opposed to in many of their policies? Why would he run as that? You're not saying why does he run as a Republican? So why would he run as a Democrat? Do you really think the record of the Democratic Party is the same record or the same policy beliefs that Cornel West has? Anytime you got a bloated military budget like the United States, where 60 cents on every dollar in the government goes to military, and then you got a problem with the little 2 cents or 10 cents that go for federal programs. That's basically what it comes down to. And do you see the Democratic Party pushing back against that? No. But Dr. Cornel West's track record of being a humanitarian does not stop the onslaught of Democratic operatives coming out of the woodwork to condemn him. Take Representative Greg Meeks.
Let's be serious. Black folks know there are 2 choices in this election.
Listen to Greg, old representative, sitting up there on top of the House, in the House, telling you what black people know.
Who praised Biden's record while contrasting it with MAGA Republicans who are debating the benefits of slavery, banning books, a woman's access to an abortion, and threatening our most precious right to vote.
That's your Congressional Black Caucus doing their best to do what? Keep things just as they are. Status quo keeps it the same. Cornel West trying to change the same because the same ain't working. See, what they're trying to do here is they're trying to conflate what DeSantis did in Florida with a scare tactic to tell black people, hey, if you don't go along with Biden, you're going to get burnt books. I don't know if you noticed or not, Greg Meeks, but there's already burned books in Florida. There's already, all the things you listed have already taken place. So you're saying, if we don't vote for Joe Biden and we don't just do what we always do, which is put the same guy back in charge, that means we're going to end up getting the same thing we already got, which is a DeSantis in Florida, which is an Abbott in Texas. We already got that, bruh. Sorry, but that's not going to be scary enough. Some of us are still going to say, hey, this isn't working. And for those people that are bold enough to call that out, they bring out the others. Like this guy, Cedric Richmond, who recently got hired by the Biden campaign.
They also know that Biden could have done a hell of a lot more if not for this hostile Supreme Court. And they know they got this hostile Supreme Court because Hillary wasn't good enough, because we weren't happy, and we wanted to support Jill Stein, or whatever the reason was at the time.
Oh, I can tell you exactly what the reasons were at the time, bruh. It was because Hillary didn't really campaign in Michigan or Wisconsin. That'd be a good reason. Also, her campaign was horrible. But forever in the day, we're going to have to hear about how poor Hillary lost, and it was no doing of her own. It had nothing to do with her lackadaisical campaign. It had nothing to do with her over-budgeted campaign. She had the best opportunity to be a president, but she blew it because I'm With Her just wasn't a great campaign. Yeah, it wasn't aspirational. What about everybody? She should have been talking about I'm With You instead of You Be With Her. But hey, that's just branding 101. The good representative Cedric continues though.
Now that voters have experienced a Trump presidency, he said, the cost of casting a protest vote with a third-party candidate should be much more apparent. I think people have seen this movie and they know the ending, Richmond said.
And that's one of my problems with the Democratic Party. They haven't seen their own movies. They don't know how this ends. Do you know what it ends when you got a bad candidate running like a Joe Biden that young people are not happy with at all? that black Americans are pissed with, especially black men are upset with, who think he's full of hot air and not much else, where the same thing is happening with other groups that they're just not interested in the extent that they were. I mean, you've indicted Trump 18 times. You ain't wounded him enough that you don't need to try to arm twist us to get Biden through. Why can't you talk more about all the great things that Joe Biden has done? It's because there's not a whole lot of things that you could point to that Joe Biden has done that has materially impacted for the better black Americans, working people, people that don't have a lot of money, people that live paycheck to paycheck. There ain't a whole lot he's done for that. And the things he did do, he made them temporary. Joe Biden was a guy who went and put money together to help children get out of poverty. It was a major thing. It was an earned income tax credit, but an upfront earned income tax credit that helped parents who had kids. That was amazing, but guess what happened? Biden let it expire. Oh, he didn't fight for it. He didn't do anything. It just went away, and things got quiet. Then Biden put out the stimulus, and the stimulus was a great idea. People were very happy about the stimulus checks that rolled out during the pandemic. But guess what? It all ended. It went bye-bye. Then it was failed opportunity after failed opportunity. The George Floyd Policing Act didn't work. The voting rights strengthening didn't work. And now the student loan strengthening or the student loan forgiveness program didn't work. That's 3 strikes in a row. Not to mention the 2 home runs that got called back. And that's the reason why they can't keep talking about how great Joe Biden is, because there's not much to talk about. The biggest dagger to the neck had to be AOC.
I think Dr. West has a very long record of service and academic thought leadership. I think just right now, given the Electoral College, it's very difficult to square the very real threat of a Republican presidency with the risk of giving up the very small margin of electoral votes needed to ensure that President Biden wins.
Oh, the stab in the back. And to think in the beginning, I was out here rooting for AOC. Yeah, I was one of those people that went against a lot of people that were telling me, Tim, do not trust her. She's garbage. I supported her. I thought, you know what? She's young. She's a former bartender. I'm sure she's going to relate to working class people. She is working class people. She defeated an old white guy who wasn't doing shit in his seat except warming it up for donors. And what does she do within 2 years? Becomes the thing she hates, just in a better pantsuit. Becomes the thing she hates, just in a nicer dress. With a little bit better rhetoric and a much more in-touch social media presence. But that's not enough for us. See, black Americans are going to demand more of Joe Biden because we should, and we can, and we shall. See, what's going on with black America right now is called an awakening. Black Americans are waking up to the reality that they really don't have a home. Nah, we don't need to be Candace Owens and run to the Republicans and pretend that they got solutions when the last thing they want to do is help black people actually get out of these situations. They want to tell all black people what you got to do is pray. That ain't enough. Denying us access to home loans, denying us access to employment, pushing us into ghettos. So while they were working against African Americans since emancipation, they've been working for white Americans to develop a middle class. And we want the same treatment. And I call it the Black Awakening because black folks are waking up to the reality. Because we got a lot of social media, and we got a lot of people on those platforms. Yeah, we got some misinformation jackasses, but we got some good people as well that are informing the masses. Here goes a couple. The Democratic Party is way too cozy with all the special interest groups. Well, guess what? Black America is the special interest group too. Black America is the special interest group too.
Black America is the special interest group too.
And you need to get cozy with us, not just on holidays, not just with the Crown Act, though I appreciate it. But really, should black women really have to jump up and down about you having their back so they can go to work with the hair that comes out of their heads? I mean, how thankful do we have to be for the most basic of treatment? Were white women excited about being able to go to work with hair coming out of their heads the way God gave it to them? Nah, because that's a silly thing to have to be thankful for. Everyone should have that. Latinos can wear their hair out of their heads. Asians can wear their hair out of their heads. and not face reprisal, suspensions, or terminations from the employers. But we needed a special law. Why? Because we're different. We've been treated differently in this country. Not because we're poor, because we're black. Because we're black.
Because we're black.
No one wants to say it simple and plain. And then you wonder why we don't want to support your agendas. Your agendas don't include us. Oh, Tim, if we got these great policies and they go through, it's going to help everybody. Yeah, I used to think the same thing until I realized if you ain't creating the menu, you're on the menu. Sort of like affirmative action. We take all the slings and arrows, all the ridicule, all the trolls about how we get ahead because of the color of our skin. Meanwhile, it's white women that get most of the benefits from affirmative action. Always has been, always will be. So no, we're not going to just say, hey, it's fine, give us this universal policy, and then put black at the top or put black in the bottom, and that makes it okay. Not good enough. See, Joe Biden likes to run around, him and his people, they run around and they tell you how great things are. They tell you how great things are going, how he's done so much. But why aren't people feeling like he's done so much? Why aren't people saying, damn, so much has been done in my lives? That's because when they look down at their bank accounts at the end of the month, when they look at the programs that are going on in their communities, when they look at what's actually happening in their lives, they have no evidence of it. We hear you say it, but we don't see it. So here's our demand. Black America wants to see the changes. Black America wants to know that the changes are real. And those changes must be material. They must be quantifiable, not rhetorical. We don't just want to hear your nice words. If Dr. Cornel West ran as the Democratic Party, they would throw him under the bus as quickly as they throw the rest of them. Do you see them giving any respect, any attention to Marianne Williamson or RFK Jr.? How about the media? Do you see them paying them any attention? In fact, I see Dr. Cornel West getting more publicity and promotion than any of those two, at least from mainstream media. So what does that tell you? Dr. Cornel West is running to win this thing. We should get behind him because he's the best candidate, regardless of what color you are. But black people, we must get behind him because he has ethics. And that's what it's going to take from when the rubber meets the road for them to say, hey, what about Black America? And I don't trust anyone else to make that point. And if Cornel West makes that point, Joe Biden will have to respond. It would be in Joe Biden's best interest to respond to the criticism of Dr. Cornel West. And who wins for that? Not Donald Trump. We do. We do.
Extra innings are bonus segments from Tim Black's Black Table Show with the Blacks. That's Tim Black and the amazing Mrs. Black. For early access to extra innings, become a paid member of the Tim Black Show at jointimblack.com. Ain't nothing like the real thing. Baby, join today. See you there, Wolfpack.